Welcome to the Progress City Radio Hour. My name is Michael Crawford. With me, as always, my brother Jeff. Jeff, how's it going?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's the most wonderful time of the year, Michael. It's getting around to it.
It's getting so close. It's getting
coming
so
around
close.
the mountain. It was cold at the bus stop this morning as we dropped our son off.
Oh, that's the best.
It's starting to happen, man. Got football going on, all kinds of things. You got some anniversaries coming and going. It's that, October 1st time of year coming up.
It is. It's that fiscal year turnover when things happen.
It's good times, man. How about you? How are you doing?
Good. I'm excited that the holidays are coming so I can get back to where there are seasons and I can enjoy that. Enjoy those crisp fall mornings. But yeah, it's the time of football and the baseball playoffs coming up, and everything's getting cozy. It's getting cozy fast.
That's right.
But speaking of anniversaries, we've got a little anniversary of our own.
That's right, Michael. As we have said, as you have read, it's our 50th episode. A feat that would have seemed highly impossible not 3 years ago. As we were left for dead on the podcast highway with 3 episodes. We have done 47 others to make 50.
I know, in just about 2 years' time as well.
So we're averaging, pretty good.
Pretty good pace. Yeah, who knew? I certainly didn't know. We'd be nifty and 50 just a few years later. It's really hard to believe. But we made it.
It's true, and it's been one of the very few good things about the pandemic. Is, it gave certain people clarity and purpose and, to cut out the riffraff. And we had been talking about doing this for years and just pushing it back. And then, when you got nothing else to do, you might as well do it.
Exactly. Like you said, one of the few good things to come out of it. And it sure has been, and it kept us busy and been a lot of fun. And I was always worried, wait, what would we talk about? I thought we'd run out of things to talk about, but turns out we're just getting started.
Yeah, we've got plenty more to talk about that we've planned, and a lot of stuff that we've, put on a spreadsheet years ago that we can still talk about. So,
yes,
the more you uncover, the more you uncover. It just keeps going on and on and on. I've found out a lot about certain eras of the company I knew very little about, and just things, one segment we were doing, and then you dive a little bit and it's like, oh man, there's so much to talk about here. We got to come back to it.
Absolutely. And every person we talk to reveals 5 to 10 other people that we need to talk to. So it's like an ever-increasing web of people who need to be interviewed and discussed.
That's exactly right. And thank goodness that people are willing to talk to us, because there are so many amazing stories. And like you said, it gives us so many new ideas. But Michael, I'm really, thinking about this and how, how to mark an event like this. We just had the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World, which we celebrated and Disney celebrated, different ways. But how do you celebrate a 50, Michael? How is it done?
That is true. It's a daunting task. It's a big milestone. A lot of pressure.
I think it's just like we don't have crazy color schemes or anything to do. We don't offer snacks.
No cupcakes. No unique cupcakes.
I'm a little bit at a loss about what to do to mark this occasion.
I know. We don't have an inroads with the people at Funko Pop to do those. So that's
true.
out.
That's true.
That's out. So I guess, when you're trying to figure out what to do, you look at how the experts do it.
That's right. There's been a lot of celebrations in the realm of Disney history.
Absolutely. A lot of 50th anniversaries.
It's true.
It's hard to believe that we're coming up on the 100th of the company. But so I
That
guess the
is hard to
first
believe.
it's very hard to believe. So I guess the first big 50th would be, well, very nearly 50 years ago.
Well, should we look at that and see what happened then?
I think that's a good idea. I mean, as I said, see what the experts do. So let's look at how Disney celebrated their own 50th anniversary way back when, in the days of 1973.
50 happy years, 50 happy years, 50 happy years. 50 years of fantasy, 50 years of fun, 50 years of growing, and we've only just begun. 50 years of building on a dream that never ends, and the century of laughter for a happy world of friends. Only 50 years ago, that was the start of a world of wonders for the young and young at heart. May you forever, with the magic that you do, make the prideful and delightful side of life come true.
The year 1973 marked a special occasion for Walt Disney Productions, the 50th year since its founding. The company observed the event with a year-long celebration dubbed 50 Happy Years. This was also the first major company milestone for which neither of its founders were present. When the event kicked off in January of 1973, Walt had been gone just over 6 years and Roy barely more than a year. It was a time when the future destiny of the company was still very much in question. Of course, that didn't stop the company from branding everything in sight with its 50 Happy Years logo. The artwork, which turned the 0 in 50 into a stylized of-the-era smiley face and topped it off with mouse ears, could be seen on everything from company letterhead to newspaper and magazine ads for Disney products. Our pal Jim Fanning has a nice video on his YouTube channel going over some of the merchandise Disney marked with this logo, including a series of comic books collecting popular past stories to a really great double LP music retrospective called 50 Years of Disney Favorites. And Jeff, think about that, celebrating a 50th anniversary with a music collection.
Imagine that. And I actually have that one, but yeah, I love this logo. It's very Walt Disney World adjacent for sure.
Yes, yeah, it is. It is. Although it wasn't featured on the album, there was a 50 Happy Years theme song as well, but they cheated a bit. This was the same song they used for Disneyland's Tencennial, just with slightly revised lyrics. There was also a special 50 Happy Years trailer which played before all Disney films released that year. Let's hear that now.
And now, a 50th anniversary presentation from Walt Disney Productions.
The studio had two big tentpole releases that year, the first of which was a summer re-release of Mary Poppins. This was the first time Poppins had been in theaters since its 1964 debut, and in the days before home video, that was a very big deal. Poppins was such a big release that it was played at Radio City Music Hall in New York, where it was accompanied by a stage show themed to the 50th anniversary.
Man, that sounds cool.
Yeah, I would love to see that. I hope there's film of that somewhere because I bet that was something special.
I bet so.
The second big film released that year was Robin Hood, the latest Disney animated feature. The release of a new Disney animated film was a big event back in those days, and Robin Hood was always mentioned in any of the celebrations of the 50th anniversary. Like Poppins, Robin Hood too played at Radio City, where it was the centerpiece of that year's Christmas show.
Oh, man, I'd like to go to that. The Robin Hood Christmas show powwow. The double feature. But, man, yeah, they are right. They plugged Robin Hood a lot, which I have a soft spot for Robin Hood.
Oh, absolutely.
Soft spot for Robin Hood.
I just love the idea of the Christmas show featuring Robin Hood.
That sounds like a fever dream of mine.
Yeah. You played Radio City.
I did.
You did. I was just throwing that in there for the listeners to a little brag on you.
Pat Terry.
Pat
Terry was there.
Yeah. Of course, what is a major Disney anniversary without a television show? And in this case, the event was so special as to warrant 2 different specials. First was produced by Disney itself and aired on NBC on January 21st, 1973, as part of the Wonderful World of Disney program. Entitled 50 Happy Years, this was essentially a retrospective clip show of past Disney triumphs. Big clip show, this one.
Yeah. This is all the clip shows which would follow. This is the first I can really recall. I feel like this is the beginning of an era.
I think you're right.
They use a bunch of old footage in the anthology show, but this is like a clip show, like you said.
Yeah. And it really set the stage for, I think, a lot of the things that followed in the 80s that we grew up on.
Right.
Where, you hit the same beats of Disney history. I mean, going all the way through to like the Disney MGM Studios, the animation tour there, and the backlot tour, they would hit a lot of these beats as well.
And it's interesting saying that. They do hit a lot of the same beats, and it's interesting that it's such a kind of repeated storyline that we became familiar with growing up about company history and thinking about how different that is. It's just a lot of stuff now doesn't go deep into history, but this would just kind of profile and it was almost like a kind of oral history of Disney told over and over again that you would remember and internalize.
Yeah, like an epic saga that you would just learn from the oral tradition. Yeah. There were some celebrities involved in the televised observations of the anniversary, but none of these specials were what we might think of typically when we remember TV productions from this period. Neither of these specials were those really broad, random celebrity stuffed variety show type of programs, which thank heavens for that. Instead of campy, they were reverent retrospectives. They were almost somber at times.
Absolutely, yes.
It's very interesting to me that neither of these are what I typically think of when I think of Disney 70s programs, which are usually pretty terrible. And the theme park shows usually are, but these were both pretty good. The official 50 Happy Years special starts off with a shot of the garage where the Disney Brothers studio first started, then proceeds to relive some of the highlights of the subsequent 50 years of Disney studio entertainment. Everything from animation to true life adventures, from television projects like Zorro and the Mickey Mouse Club to theme parks and live action film. Along the way, the narration incorporates recordings of Walt himself talking about his career. In fact, the vibe I got was very similar to the Walt Disney story, which also debuted in the Magic Kingdom this very same year and used many of the same historic images and clips and audio recordings.
Yeah, I know. And it's, and of course, the Walt Disney story part of this whole thing as well to celebrate this anniversary. So, yeah, definitely using some of the same beats.
Yeah, real similar vibe in this show. In fact, this show is kind of a prolonged version of the Walt Disney story, minus some of the biographical stuff about Walt's early life. It leaves that out. It covers Mickey, it covers the success of the Three Little Pigs and the Silly Symphonies, the advent of animated features. Interestingly, it doesn't tell a lot of the familiar stories about Walt's gamble on Snow White, but opts to view those early features through the lens of their memorable characters. In fact, a lot of the focus is on how Walt sought to imbue animated characters with distinctive personalities. We don't get the story about him telling it over dinner time when he gave him a dime to get dinner.
I know, it's true. Or the soup scene.
No soup scene and no Ward Kimball sobbing. Oh, well, I had to save something for next time. We proceed from this character discussion to Walt's technical achievements in the art of animation, beginning with the old mill. And this got me thinking, very similar to what you were saying before. When we were kids, we heard all the time in specials like this or on any animation retrospective on the Disney Channel or in any of the animation or history films in the parks. We heard all about these achievements. How Ward Kimball heard the sobs during Snow White, how the old mill was so groundbreaking. When is the last time we heard any of these stories told? Have any of, or even heard these shorts like mentioned at all?
Yeah, and you could, of course, chalk it up to company changes, which I think is valid, but it's also the time it happened. A lot of these people were getting older and telling their stories for the first time. It was kind of a rare glimpse into that time around this time where these animators were getting older and retiring and recording their history before it was too late. So I don't know. It's probably a mixture of both, I would think. Just as time fades away, this stuff becomes less significant to younger people. But to us, it's very important. And I think historically, it's very important.
That's true. That's true. At the time, the original players in the scene, the Nine Old Men, were several of the Nine Old Men still around to tell their stories. People that were really involved in the earliest days were still around. And now you think it's the guys who were the young bucks in the 1970s.
That's right.
They're the senior representatives,
Yeah.
It's, I just think kids today who are fans will grow up without knowing anything about the history of the company, because it's really been eliminated from the discourse, which is sad. I think it's like it's all been forgotten.
I know. And it's raising kids. It does get harder to show them stuff that is the older stuff. It's for various reasons. There's just so much more, that's come after. But I think it's vitally important that the story if you're at all interested. It's just really compelling.
Got to know how that multiplane works.
That's right.
Anyway, the 50 years special pivots to the gamble of Snow White before mentioning how Fantasia was ahead of its time. This leads to a focus on music and songs in Disney films, leading off with Song of the South and Zippity Doo Dah. Takes us up through a bunch of animated film numbers all the way to Mary Poppins, before culminating with When You Wish Upon a Star. Very similar vibes here to the animation tour finale film at Disney MGM Studios.
God, now that, or once we're, bemoaning things being gone, I think the animation tour was such an amazing thing to be able to go to and get a sense for this, extremely important part of the company history and present at that time.
Right.
It was a real shame why they would take that away. Even in its smaller form, I thought it was very useful for people to see. And, I'm sure it helps inspire new generations of people to do it. So, I don't know. Hate it.
Right. And it's something throughout all these specials and a lot of the stuff of the 50th anniversary, it was underscored time and again how animation was the true lifeblood of the studio and the real heartbeat of the studio all throughout its history. And to have that not be a focus, I think is a shame. And in such an effective format, all the films in that attraction, the opening film Back to Neverland, and then the finale, like clip reel, sizzle reel of at Disney Animation, were all so effective and well done.
They were so good. So good.
Just really, really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, in the special, Bambi shows up, providing a segue to talk about how Walt liked to use animals with individual personalities to tell his stories, leading to how it was natural then for him to start filming live animals as well. This leads, of course, to the True Life Adventures, where nature and wildlife were the actors. We get lots of footage from those, including Roy E. Disney's famous sliding ducks. Gotta love those guys. Before we pivot again to talk about Walt and television. There's Davy Crockett, of course, and the Mickey Mouse Club. We get to live action movies. We're shown 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea as they play Walt's quote about how they must keep moving forward into new things. So we see The Shaggy Dog, The Love Bug, and Swiss Family Robinson. Comedies like Absent-Minded Professor all lead up to the success of Mary Poppins. It's funny how Mary Poppins was the end point of so many of these tales.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and it was all leading up to Mary Poppins.
Kind of true in a way.
Yeah. But then there's a twist. We're told about Walt's way of mixing comedy with pathos, his belief that with every laugh, there must be a tear someplace. And so we get into the sad stuff, starting off with maybe the deepest cut of the entire episode, a scene from 1965's Those Callaways, which surprised me.
Love those Callaways. Love
big
them
fan
Callaways.
of those Callaways. I've got to do that on Medfield sometime.
Oh, that's a good idea, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good one. Those Callaways is followed up by the saddest parts of Dumbo spliced together. And just to rub salt in the wound, the culmination of Old Yeller. They just show the whole scene and then go to commercial. It is rough stuff, but it definitely reminded me of the similar themes in the old animation tour clip reel at Disney MGM. Hitting the same notes.
That's right. That's right.
On a happier note, we see the triumph of Disneyland before the show circles back to motion pictures being the heart of the company with a look at the then upcoming Robin Hood. And spoiler alert, they show a nice big clip of Robin Hood too. We get a lot of talk about Walt's creative team carrying on his philosophy with the opening of Walt Disney World, and so there's some really nice vintage Walt Disney World footage. And that's about it. When You Wish Upon a Star plays, and we get a montage of old Disneyland footage, and then the show is over. Overall, pretty sedate and classy compared to most 1973 TV fare.
Yeah, I was surprised about this one. It's just very, you're right. It feels a lot like the ones that would come out in the 80s. Just a little bit more kind of objective and serious as compared to the stuff you see in the 70s, for sure.
Yeah, no wacky celebrity vaudeville performances or anything like that. It was just the facts, just the facts. A couple of months after that special, Disney made another TV plug for the 50th anniversary when there was a special 4.5-minute production number during that year's Academy Awards celebration honoring Disney's 50 happy years of family entertainment. More than 60 Disney characters were involved. I've never managed to track this one down. I have a copy of the Oscars from this year, but this has been omitted for some reason. I can bet it was probably pretty campy.
I would think so, yes.
This was also the year that Marlon Brando declined his Oscar, and John Wayne about decked the Native American woman, and so it adds to the very awkward air hanging over the whole situation.
Right.
In July of 1973, Time magazine published an article entitled "Disney After Walt is a Family Affair." This was a survey of the state of the company as it approached 50, and it manages to capture some of the issues Disney was facing at the time. While many might think of this period as one of decline, in actuality, Disney's financials that year were better than ever. Since Walt's death, the company's revenues had increased from $116.6 million to $329 million, and its profits had soared from $12.4 million to a record $40 million. Wow, $40 whole million.
And you got to think this is after Walt Disney World, which, blew up their financial outlook. So it was even smaller before that by a good deal. So
yeah,
that's pretty crazy.
It's amazing. The article begins with a quote from Roy after Walt's 1966 death, when he said, quote, "The financial fellas think we're going to fall on our faces without Walt. Well, we're going to fool them." So far, things seem to be going well. Time even refers to Disney as the only blue chip stock in show business. So this is going against like the narrative,
Right.
Things are going smoothly so far. But the roots of future problems still showed. "We haven't gone in any new directions," admitted President and Chief Operating Officer Card Walker. "The name has become a guarantee," he said. "If it says Walt Disney Productions, a family can be assured that they're not going to be shocked in any way. Bored maybe sometimes, but never shocked." That quote is hilarious.
That's very troubling coming from the president and COO. I mean, that is not a good sign. But yeah, I mean, clearly they are way clinging to some imagined Walt at this point and not planting the right seeds. And we've talked a lot about what they were doing in Florida. They're kind of starting to think about what to do next in Florida around this time, but everything else is beginning to stagnate for sure.
Yes.
They're kind of running out of Walt's ideas.
Which seems to be intentional.
Yeah,
Card Walker. We
so.
haven't gone in any new directions.
Right.
And it may be super boring, but it won't shock you. So, yeah, you can see how the later problems kind of got started here. The company was still very much a family shop at the time, with the branches of the Disney family owning the largest single block of company stock. Both Walt's son-in-law, Ron Miller, and Roy's son, Roy E. Disney, were both on the staff in production roles. The real cash cow at the time was, of course, theme parks. Walt Disney World, still fresh from its opening, was blowing through attendance predictions left and right. But a third of the company's revenues, amazingly, still came through reissues of old Disney films, which they faithfully would re-release on 7-year cycles. This was something they continued to do even when we were kids.
That's right. And a lot of people point to one of the real successes of Eisner and Wells early on is they opened up home video, and everybody's like, why didn't they do that before? But it was because they relied so much on these re-releases as such a big part of their bottom line. These films cost so much to make. In their first run, they would hardly ever make a profit. But because they did this over and over again, they could make a lot of money off of them.
Yeah, a third of the revenues
in the
just
70s.
from re-release.
In the 70s, yeah.
It's remarkable. Well, to your point, this allowed films that had been financial flops on their original release to turn tidy profits. Bambi and Fantasia, for instance, had both been considered failures on release, but by the 1970s, they were cash machines. Disney was starting to have problems, though, priming the pump for future reissue fodder. They'd only produced 2 animated features since Walt's death, The Aristocats and Robin Hood.
Crazy.
Animation was expensive to produce at this point, and animation talent had become scarce. The average age of key Disney animation staff at the time was 55, and the studio creatively was starting to get in a rut as it increasingly relied on formulas that had been successful in the past. They were trying to recruit, but there was just nobody to recruit, and they just kept aging. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So what was next for Disney? Well, one unnamed executive told Time that the next logical step would be an outdoor recreational facility along the lines of Mineral King. And, of course, Epcot still lay on the horizon, more undefined than ever in 1973. But now for something completely different comes a very unique 50th anniversary observation, which aired on September 22nd, 1973. Of course, I'm talking about a very special episode of The Lawrence Welk Show, celebrating 50 years of Disney. Jeff, it saddens me that some of our listeners might not be aware of The Lawrence Welk Show these days.
I know. We had the very, good fortune to have parents that watched the show kind of tongue in cheek, and then, a generous PBS portion of Lawrence Welk through our adolescence and young adulthood to watch this. Yeah. I mean, now when I watch Lawrence Welk, there's so much to unpack about Lawrence Welk and the kitsch and the cheese, but the music is incredible. Like, the production value of the music and the arrangements is stunning that they did this on a regular basis. Just something that has almost been lost to our time. I mean, it has been lost.
Absolutely. I mean, week in and week out, this, I don't even know what you would call it. But
it's a variety show.
Yeah, it's a variety show, but just something from another planet.
Yeah,
amazing.
It's very weird.
But yeah, very committed. Of course, starring former Mouseketeer Bobby Burgess as one of the standby performers there. As with most things Lawrence Welk, this show really does have to be seen to be believed. But here's a very short clip from the top of the show to just give you a little hint of the vibe.
From Hollywood, the Lawrence Welk Network presents the big band sound of Lawrence Welk with a 50th anniversary salute to Walt Disney Studios. And this evening, good friends, we welcome back an old friend, one of your all-time favorites, Larry Hooper.
Amazing music, as said.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it's funny that when you sort of catch up It's a Small World, it just becomes It's a Small World.
It's so good, though, man. What a testament to how great that song is.
So good.
Yeah.
But you can't, you add some wacky polka accordion and it's just a different version of It's a Small World.
Good. I don't know. I like it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's good stuff. I'll leave it there on the Lawrence Welk front, although we might have to show their rendition of the Siamese Cat song from Lady and the Tramp on our Patreon live stream this month.
Well, I think the live stream is going to be popping off. I think that's going to be really banner month for the live stream with this episode.
Exactly. Get the champagne flowing, get the bubbles in the air.
Yeah, there's a lot to show, a lot to share.
Yeah, a lot. Wrapping up the year of televised 50th activities was a special that aired on October 23rd as part of ABC's Wide World of Entertainment, which I guess was the counterpart to the Wide World of Sports.
I know, which I didn't know about, which Dick Cavett Ford, Wide World of Entertainment.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. The rarely mentioned counterpart, anyway. This show was entitled Walt Disney, A Golden Anniversary Salute, and it was also a clip show of sorts, but it featured more talking heads than the previous Disney-made special. Various retrospective clips are interspersed with commentary by people who knew and worked with Walt. I have to say, the show starts off weirdly with a recording of Julie Andrews from London. She mentions some of the celebrities who are going to be on the show and wraps by saying, "Now that the children are in bed, why don't we have a Walt Disney evening of our own?"
That is, an interesting start. Yeah.
Like, all
kids
right,
are in
Julie.
bed. This one's for us.
Yeah. We then cut to Disneyland, where the disembodied voice of Dean Jones speaks rather mystically as footage of the original Main Street Electrical Parade plays. The old-fashioned one with the flat flows.
That's right. That's right.
A nice little glimpse. Jeff, this is a very mystical and subdued Gene Jones we get in this show.
It is. It's like hypnotized Dean Jones, very formal Dean Jones.
Super formal.
It's interesting. Yes. Yeah, this is kind of like a nexus of eras, I guess. Just putting Dean Jones and some of the other people we're going to see in together is just kind of a rare thing. But of course, Dean Jones should be the MC of this event at this point in time. He's so good at it. Yeah, he is.
So good at it.
Dean should have done more voiceover work and more hosting. Come on.
He'd have been a great host. Host the Oscars or something. He'd have been great.
Right.
And host any Disney thing. I'd watch that. Well, to your point of the crossover of eras, we get Fred McMurray's disembodied voice jumping in to introduce Dean Jones.
That was so funny to me.
Which threw me off.
It threw me off. You don't hear much from Fred during this time. I mean, of course, Fred went down to Orlando to open up Disney World, so it wasn't that far after that. It's just like, "Hi, I'm Fred McMurray. Here's Dean Jones."
Yeah.
So it seems like they were like, "Hey, can you also do this, Fred?"
Yeah, well, especially because we've already had the voiceover by Dean Jones. So I was like, "Oh, it's Dean Jones." And then I was like, "Wait, that's Fred McMurray."
Right.
Because you hear Dean Jones talking, and then, "Hi, this is Fred McMurray. Here's Dean Jones."
Yeah.
Dean Jones, who's strolling the park by night, being pensive.
Come on. This is just perfect. Come on.
It's like his like Sinatra album cover of him in his like tuxedo strolling down a watered down Main Street.
Eat your heart out, Harry Anderson, is all I gotta say.
Oh yeah, truly. Talk about after midnight. So we find Dean Jones at last sitting on the carousel in Fantasyland in a tuxedo, where he starts talking about 50 years of what he calls the Disney Dream Factory. This makes me wish early Disney Channel had had a Dean Jones at Disneyland After Dark nightly show.
Well, yeah, I mean, that would have been great. I don't understand. I want to know more about the Dean Jones Disney fall off, because I feel like, yeah, get Dean Jones on the Disney Channel. Let's keep this thing rolling, you know?
He could have just had a weekly series. I would have been all into that.
He could have hosted Masterpiece Theater.
Today we have a Goofy. Well, Dean gets right into it, starts talking about Disney's musical legacy, and he points out something I had never really considered, that starting with Steamboat Willie, they used mostly public domain tunes until they had their first original hit with Who's Afraid of the Big Bad Wolf. I never thought about that.
That's true. That's true. Of course, you got Minnie's Yoo-Hoo in there, I would argue.
Yeah,
you know, that's
true.
But I don't know if that was a hit per se. Yeah, you're right.
After some clips, we meet up with Annette on the studio lot talking about the Mickey Mouse Club. She goes on to mention how she thought Walt expressed himself through Mickey Mouse, which is one of a couple of times she refers to him as shy during the episode. It's like, very, very, excuse me.
Never heard that shy before, but trust in that. Yeah.
Yeah. We find Fred McMurray chilling on a bench in Disneyland, talking about how when you talk to Walt, you'd think he wasn't listening to you, but then a month later, he'd come up and bring up the conversation and remember every detail of what you said, which is kind of a weird story to tell, but all the little stories in this episode are kind of weird.
Yeah, I just wonder what the prompting was. A lot of these stories would be like, what was the question that was asked? I want to know. But I would listen to or watch untold hours of interviews with Fred McMurray on a park bench. It's so pleasant, and he's so just he's mirthful and musing, and he's just like, here's an interesting thing about Walt Disney, I'll tell you. Man, Fred McMurray. I
told a fellow one time that he wouldn't listen to you. Yeah, I just see him with like munching on some popcorn out of the little like paper, popcorn thing, and just telling tales.
It's funny as you go through this special and they keep going back to Fred McMurray. I always used to wonder, like, you would assume that Fred McMurray enjoyed being a part of Disney stuff because he was in so many things, but he also had like a really serious acting career before Disney. So I always wondered, like, well, did he think it was like, whatever? What did he think?
Yeah, was he slumming it or...
Right.
You never know.
But it just seemed like he really was jazzed about, he tells a story about Absent-Minded Professor, and later that it's just like, well, he was really excited. He's just very excited to do it. And
that's later. That's
good to know. I just love to hear more about Fred McMurray and Walt Disney.
just chatting, catching up, cutting jokes. Yeah, it's very pleasant. Then of course there's Card Walker. He shows up. He's on a bench out at the Disney studio. He shows up to talk about how shortly before Walt died, his interest had turned mostly to Epcot. So he manages to get in a little blurb about Epcot.
Of course.
Says he thought it was unusual for a creative person like Walt to be thinking of all the problems of man, which is also a weird thing to say.
It is. It's like, what is a through line here? But another thing you notice is that there's no underscore at all. So it's just like completely quiet, ambient noise, and these kind of quiet interviews. It's just the quietest special I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it really is. It's just like man on the street stand-ups. just out and about, just so well. And like you said, I thought the same thing of like, what were the questions they were at? What were the prompts they were getting?
Right.
Because they're just out of left field kind of tales and no real argument. There's nothing like, in 1935, Walt put out this movie and it was the first one to do this. It's just random reminiscences, which is kind of great.
Right.
Speaking of which, we head to the old studio backlot western town where Buddy Ebsen is lurking around. He tells a story about how he met Walt first in 1935. Buddy had come from New York to film Broadway Melody of 1936, and during that picture, he wears a Mickey Mouse sweatshirt. Now, for a long time, I thought that was funny. I'd seen the movie on TCM, thought it was funny. He had a Mickey Mouse sweatshirt, wondered how that came about. Apparently, originally he was supposed to wear a plain sweatshirt, but director Roy Del Ruth said that he needed something on it to break up the image because it was just a big, plain, blank sweatshirt. So someone suggested putting Mickey Mouse on it, and that was that. Apparently, seeing it in the movie made Walt happy, and Buddy thinks that's what got him on Walt's good list and earned him the job in Davy Crockett.
Huh.
So, the end. Just another little... In fact, everybody loved Walt. Fred McMurray chimes in to say the pictures he made at Disney were the most pleasant times he had in the business. Julie Andrews reappears to talk about meeting Walt backstage in New York after appearing in Camelot and how he pitched Mary Poppins to her. Apparently, he did the whole Snow White acting out the movie deal and talked her into coming to California to hear the script and songs. Walt very big on the pitch.
Right. Absolutely.
She says her California trip was pretty amazing. Walt met her at the airport with flowers and everything. Says she got to go to Disneyland and the racetrack, which is, again, a fascinating unsolicited detail.
Yeah. Thinking about him taking her around Disneyland, too. It's just, funny to imagine.
Yeah, that would have been a better movie than Mr. Banks, and it would actually be true.
Yes, that's true.
Dean returns to introduce a montage of Disney villains before one of the 9 old men, Wooly Reitherman, appears to talk about animation.
Yes.
Says that Disney is the only studio that gives artists the time and money to live with a picture long enough to tell it concisely, convincingly, and entertainingly. This also serves to plug Robin Hood. He's got a big storyboard of sketches from that film sitting right in the shot.
Which is pretty cool to see.
It's very cool. He's sitting out front of the old Hyperion bungalow out there on the Disney studio lot, and we just got a big storyboard there out on the grass. So we get back to Dean, who's talking about the early Disney characters being like the great silent comedians, each with a different and distinct personality. Mickey, he says, was special, though. He could be anything he wanted to be. He played any role. So we get a Mickey retrospective before going to Ward Kimball for a truly weird spot. Ward is just sitting out on the curb in front of a movie theater somewhere. I don't know where. Just sitting out by the street. Maybe we should just go to Ward for this insight.
A lot of Mickey Mouse fans and young film buffs ask me, whatever happened to Mickey Mouse? What caused his demise? Well, I have my own pet theory, and that concerns the problem of size. You see, the duck was about 2 feet high in relation to the backgrounds. Pluto was a normal-sized dog, and Goofy was 6 feet high, man's body with a dog face. But when we drew Mickey in the scene, he turned out to be about 3 feet high. And who ever heard of a 3-foot-high mouse?
What is this anecdote?
I don't know.
Just a little thought from Ward about Mickey Mouse. He should have had a philosophical face-off with John Hinch. John Hinch could be talking about how Mickey's rounded ears are comforting, and Ward Kimball could be beefing about his height being...
you would think that they would not throw it to Ward for an analysis on Mickey Mouse at this point, but I enjoyed hearing what he had to say.
Especially to talk about his demise. People ask me, what happened to Mickey?
And we'll get more to that later on in the episode, but that was a a little bit of a talking point at this point for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't
right?
understand why.
I don't know.
Because people aren't
apparently
going to
asking
watch
about it.
cartoons at every like movie. That wasn't even happening anymore.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Oh, anyway, we go back to Card, who gets in a plug for Walt Disney World, talking about how Walt wanted to build a second Disneyland east of the Mississippi, but wanted it to be big enough that he could control the peripheral environment.
It cracked me up. He went very detailed. He's like, so all the audience for Disneyland comes west of the Mississippi.
Yes!
And all the audience like, okay, Card. Not necessary to know right now.
Business robot man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, thanks for bring out the flow charts. We didn't quite get it. Oh, well, then we're back to Fred McMurray, who tells the origin story of the absent-minded professor, which is pretty amazing, actually. Turns out that when Fred was working on the Shaggy Dog, Walt showed up on set and said he liked what Fred was doing in the picture. He had an idea for another film if Fred was available. Fred said, sure. Walt said he'd gotten the idea at the World's Fair in Brussels, where he'd seen Dr. Julius Miller giving a demonstration on nuclear energy, but in an apparently amusing way. This gave Walt the idea for a character for Fred based on Dr. Miller, and he soon had Bill Walsh working on a script for it. Walt always thinking.
Yeah, I'd never heard this story before, but I'm
Me
fascinated by it. Yeah.
Been at the World's Fair, saw the dangdest demonstration of nuclear energy, and I think that'd be a good character for you, Fred. Yeah, very weird. So fun little twist. Speaking of Walt thinking, Dean Jones comes back to talk about how Walt used to reminisce about how Disneyland originated. He tells the story of Walt sitting waiting for his girls to ride the carousel, but in this retelling, there's a carousel and a Ferris wheel. And Dean Jones says it was located on La Cienega Boulevard.
Yeah.
Which I don't know where that came from.
I've never heard that. And you wonder if like that is actually the truth. All this
that
other
would be amazing.
Very confusing. And it took me out. I was like, what?
Down on La Cienega. I never heard that before, ever. So who knows the truth, but that is very weird. Anyway, Dean says, Walt knew there must be a better way. Of course, said Dean, Walt was the kind of guy who would look down at the Grand Canyon and say, hell, there must be a better way.
Yeah, you got into a little patter of hell, there must be a better way, which is great. Loving it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, man, it's too good. So we go back to Card, who's talking about all the awards Walt won. Mentions a CBC interview, which everybody who's listening has probably seen clips of before. It's a very famous interview that he did. Anyway, as part of that, Walt was asked about his greatest accomplishment. According to Walt, it was building the organization he had built, people dedicated to carrying out his vision of creative concepts for family entertainment. Which, why do I get a feeling all of Card's spots in this had a hidden agenda?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That his greatest achievement was building us
Right.
so we could carry out his family entertainment concepts.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Annette comes on again to talk more about how Walt was shy, which is weird, and a little story about how he sent flowers to her when she had her daughter. Sounds nice.
It sounds, really over the top, as you would expect.
Yeah. Then, in what is kind of an amazing finale, Dean Jones is standing out on Main Street in the dark. He talks a little about how Walt has influenced all our lives, before intoning solemnly, Walter Elias Disney, 1901, 1966. And then he turns around and walks off into the night. It's so dark.
It's so dark. It's so smoldering. I don't understand why he's so smoldering in this, but I imagine Charles Kuralt watching, and just like a tear rolling down his eye. Who knows how many times he told us right from wrong. Walter Elias Disney.
1901.
Very serious.
And just the clop, clop, clop of his shoes going down Main Street in the dark and silence.
And
It's unnerving.
Again, like the story ends there instead of now. There now. It's like
Yeah.
end was 1966, not 1973. Kind of telling.
Yeah. And that was it. Yeah, Dean really bringing the gravitas to the occasion.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
I wonder how many of us realize how much Walt Disney has influenced our lives. Our concepts of right and wrong, good and evil, our lyrical vision of romance, and our unshakable belief in happy endings. Walter Elias Disney, 1901, 1966.
Before Walt Disney Productions celebrated its 50th birthday, Mickey Mouse didn't even have an official birthday. But Disney Archives founder Dave Smith discussed the issue with people at the studio, and the consensus was that Mickey was born on November 18, 1928, concurrent with the debut of Steamboat Willie at the Colony Theater in New York. Several birthdays were honored through the years for Mickey, but he finally got the date set, which made his 50th birthday November 18th, 1978. He had to go check with the Disneys to make sure it was okay to set his birthday.
Huh. That's so funny. It just was never a thing that was really considered.
Right.
Until
Consistent. Yeah. Oh, Michael, what a year was 1978.
Oh, yes, I remember it well.
That's right. 1978 found Walt Disney Productions in a bit of a different place than 5 years prior during the 50th anniversary of the studios. The company was on the move, notably with work finalizing plans for Epcot Center. The exciting era of the 1980s lurked just around the corner, and with it plans for Tokyo Bay, Independence Lake, and a whole world of new ideas. A new talent, too, was infusing Disney's animation unit, with the next generation arriving to be trained by and eventually replace some of the Disney's original legendary animators who were nearing retirement. The very beginnings of what would come to be called the Disney Renaissance some 10 years later would be arriving in Burbank during this time. So Michael, while Disney hadn't exactly turned the corner completely after Walt's death, they were on the way.
Yeah, absolutely. They starting off a new wave of projects, considering things like, well, as you mentioned, Epcot and Tokyo, which will be the two big projects occupying the next 5 years, pretty much everything the company did, and trying a few new things. So it was a time for new ideas, as someone once said.
That's right. One just wonders if they would have shortened the timetable a little bit, if they could have survived the turmoil of the 1980s. There was just a lot of treading water in that early 70s window. Of course, they had spent a ton of money on Walt Disney World, but if they could have just sped up their development a little bit, maybe they could have stayed around.
I think, it really, if one of those movies had hit in the early Ron Miller era, and one of those, like Something Wicked This Way Comes, which was really kind of the final nail before it started. The parks were doing great. It was just the studio that had been so heavily neglected. And by the time they started turning their attention to it, it was really too late. And they had a couple of flops, and some not even flops, just not successes.
Right.
And that's really kind of what did them in. But yeah, I always think that they were one big live action success away from really turning things around.
Could have been, yeah. Well, Mickey was turning 50, and though he didn't appear on the big screen too much anymore, he remained firmly solidified as the symbol of the company and a mainstay in Disney's parks, educational films, television, and, of course, merchandise. Think of all the watches.
Oh, yeah.
And, of course, at the studio, as we said, Mickey wasn't very busy. Much like the 1973 special, much was made about how Mickey was in decline as far as on-screen appearances. Newspapers reported the goings-on surrounding Mickey's birthday, quote, despite the fact that Mickey Mouse's last real performance was in the short Simple Things released in 1953. Mickey is in decline, but according to one Hollywood reporter, there's hope for Mickey's future. The young breed of animators want to make a new short with Mickey, reported Tom Wilhite, a Disney publicist. It might be the start of a whole new shorts program. Ron Miller has told them if they can come up with a good story, they can go ahead. So,
teasing us.
I know.
It would have been great to have had something out for his 50th. And, of course, it took a little bit longer for them to get the Christmas Carol featurette, I guess you would call it, out. But it would have been so nice to have one for the 50th.
It would have been nice. And yeah, there was a lot of analysis in papers about Mickey's birthday and what it meant. And one of the main talking points was that, as we all know, Mickey's personality changed over the years. He was such a sensation in the 30s, and then, Donald Duck came along, et cetera, et cetera. But the kind of navel gazing around Mickey becoming a corporate symbol and not being, it's like, have y'all been to the parks ever? He's all over the place.
Yeah, exactly. He just changed his venue. That's
right. Well, like many other occasions throughout his life, Mickey received a formal portrait from Disney legend John Hinch, just as he had for his 25th birthday. For his 50th, Mickey was situated in front of a model of Epcot in its 1978 form, which had the gold spaceship Earth, little trapezoidal communicore, wearing a blue blazer and red pants. I always found this shot somewhat amusing because it looks like he's on a film set where he's presenting Epcot Center. It's very layered.
It really is. It's like he's following up Walt's film with his own Epcot film. Also, kind of the same Epcot that all those photos of Ray Bradbury were standing in front of the same version of Epcot. So it has that vibe too.
It's like the mini fountained Epcot. It's like the more fountains than they got.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Water features everywhere.
Walt Disney Productions also featured a Mickey Mouse 50th birthday bumper before their films of the year, much like the 1973 bumper. This time it said, congratulating Mickey Mouse on his 50th birthday, and had a real trippy logo of a Mickey spinning around. That Mickey, incidentally, was animatronic from Mickey Mouse Review, rotoscoped and colored, with trippy purple trails coming off.
Interesting.
Also, this would be a fixture of our childhood, as it would eventually become a kind of neon version that would serve as the opening of Walt Disney Home Video in its early days.
The best. Just
so
the best.
Good.
Yeah.
So just thinking of them having put that Mickey animatronic on a turntable. We'll just film it. I want to see the raw footage of that.
With like tape all over him like Tron or something.
Yeah. But yeah, this would appear in The Cat from Outer Space and Hot Lead and Cold Feet. A banner year for the films. Disney films since 1978. They had not turned the corner, as I said, but they were trying to, but yikes.
Yeah, they had taken a real downturn since earlier in the decade when there were still a lot of Walt era projects around and a lot of, people like Bill Anderson and people like that around, and things starting to get really rough before we started getting that Ron Miller ambition of Tron and something wicked. And, I mentioned they were one hit away, me thinking they were one hit away, and that could have been Splash. If they had just held on a little bit longer, Splash might have saved their bacon.
It's true. Yeah. Really, the biggest deal surrounding Mickey's 50th were the events around his birthday, On November 13th, Mickey would receive a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, becoming the first animated character to do so. Long overdue, I would say.
Absolutely.
Following that, Mickey would take a barnstorming trip on the Amtrak Mickey Mouse Special, a regularly scheduled cross-country route with a private car attached to the back of the train, complete with a covered platform. On board the train was a dozen staff, the mouse himself, and a few veteran animators to provide gravitas and perspective. In all, there were 57 stops in between Los Angeles and New York where fans would gather with local bands to celebrate the mouse and have a chance to shake his hand. 1,000 people gathered at the first stop in Pasadena, and I was shocked to learn how many people showed up to these. I mean, 1,000 people.
Yeah. Let's go out to the train station, see Mickey.
I mean, tremendous crowds all across the country. Some bigger than others, but almost the most shocking were the 20 people that showed up at 3:15 a.m. in Kingman, Arizona, including a 4-month-old baby. Man, put that baby to bed.
Yeah, I know. That baby's not going to remember this. Put it to
need
bed.
to see Mickey Mouse. Come on.
Da, 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 da.
Mickey would attend the Chicago Film Festival, and when he arrived to New York City, he would help kick off an exhibit at the Museum of Modern Art. Just think about how Walt would have reacted to that rubbing of elbows with the long hairs.
Oh, it would have been long hair heaven there.
That's right.
Hobnobbing.
Mickey also went to the Broadway Theater in New York, the site of the Colony Theater, to see a plaque unveiled commemorating the debut of Steamboat Willie. Mickey was off to the nation's capital, where Mickey memorabilia would be installed at the Library of Congress, and he would be feted at the White House by first daughter Amy Carter.
Oh.
It was his 4th visit to the White House. Visitors had cake and drinks as Mickey danced with Amy Carter to Dixie and When the Saints Go Marching In.
What?
Interesting selection. And President Carter even made an unscheduled appearance. And Ward Kimball was there talking to the press. So he must have been one of the animators on the train. But just imagining Ward Kimball sitting in like the East Room, just being like, yeah, you know.
He's sitting in with the band on Dixie.
That's pretty
just
good.
Playing the trombone. I'm Mr. Carter.
Oh, man. Of course, Mickey had to go visit Walt Disney World to be celebrated. That trendy theme park. At the Magic Kingdom, Mickey arrived at the Main Street Cinema in a top-down touring car. Parades, cakes, and Jimmy and Christy Nichols from the show Family, which I don't know, and the Kids of the Kingdom, as well as performances from the Lawrence Welk Show, making it the most 1978 thing I can think of. But yeah, the whole red carpet treatment at the Main Street Cinema. It's a cool little way to celebrate.
Yeah.
At Disneyland and Walt Disney World, parades were numerous, and anyone who was born in 1928 was admitted for free. And there were tons of photo ops with characters and general good feeling. Guests at the Magic Kingdom got free admittance to the Mickey Mouse Revue to boot. So, a lot to celebrate.
Absolutely.
It caught on in the culture just enough for Davy Jones and A Million Kids, the band name, to record the song Hey Rah 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 Happy Birthday Mickey Mouse, which was written by podcast favorites Al Kasha and Joel Hirschhorn.
Get out.
Writers of the Universe of Energy. This song, not their finest work, but the true piece de resistance of Mickey's 50th year was a special fittingly titled Mickey's 50 that aired on The Wonderful World of Disney on November 19th, 1978. Well, you mentioned earlier that the 50th anniversary celebrations to mark the studios were not, kind of this variety, celebrity infused, indicative of the era kind of specials. But in 1978, Michael, we get one that is exactly that. to the max.
To the max and beyond.
I feel like we should have had Brian P. Miles on to talk about this because there were people I didn't even realize who they were, and I was like, I bet Brian knows who these people are.
Yeah, give us the rundown on all these folks. This is a who's who. I was telling somebody earlier we were doing this episode, and I said, I think it has literally everybody in 1978 on it.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. Yeah, this is quite the star-studded affair. In fact, that's most of what it is. This is a real kind of Eisner template, Michael.
Yes, it is. I thought that too. It has such the vibe of the stuff they would do for his 60th, for Mickey's 60th anniversary 10 years later. Very similar. But, still, this show wasn't like I think of stuff like The Mouseketeers at Walt Disney World and Christmas at Walt Disney World, which is from this same year, which are both travesties, or like Sandy at Disneyland, which we covered on Medfield recently,
right?
Which is like celebrities doing shtick and doing bits of business that are usually really, really bad.
Yep.
And this is not that.
It's a lot of pop-ups. It's so many pop-ups.
It is the fastest. And I also think of things from this era as being very slow. This moves at the speed of light.
This is not slow. It starts slow, however. We have a kind of long scene from Mickey's surprise party from 1939, where Mickey shows up. He's trying to kiss on Mickey, and Minnie and everybody jumps out and surprises him. But then we're off to the races, Michael. We cut to a Mickey montage to the Beatles' birthday, which I did not expect the Beatles overlay.
Nor did I. And I mean, talk about it, especially in this era, getting the licensing for that.
Rare.
Yes.
Rare.
And all four guys still around. You wonder who they appealed to for that.
Yeah, well, John was a big Mickey fan.
That's
at
true.
least. But when we get to the drum break, there are quick cuts for every snare hit with stars wishing Mickey a happy 50th. Very quick cuts. We'll run through some of the people. We'll see them all later. Among the constellation of stars are Gerald Ford, Johnny Carson, Bob Hope, R2-D2, Gregory Peck, Annette Funicello, Edgar Bergen and Charlie McCarthy, O.J. Simpson, Willie Nelson, Roy Rogers, Dale Evans, Burt Reynolds, Jodie Foster, Shirley Jones, Ed Asner, Mel Brooks, Henry Winkler, Kermit, Jonathan Winters, Ruth Buzzy, Joanne Worley, Ronnie Schnell, Shields and Yarnell, Michael, Elliot Gould, Peter Sellers, Gene Kelly, Elton John, LeVar Burton, on they go. So everybody.
My head was spinning at this point. First, the fact that Shields and Yarnell appear again, the same year as they appeared in the Christmas show. But, I mean, actual celebrities.
Yes. Yeah, big names. Big names. There's more, but it was going too fast. So we have a golden Mickey statue, which they come back to time and time again, with a great voiceover welcoming us in. Then we have a very rare, to me, Wonderful World of Disney intro that is very cool.
Yes.
Medley of Disney hits with some cool footage, including some Florida footage, along with the classic Disneyland footage, particularly a monorail gliding over the water in the sunset. Like, man, that needs to be in all of them.
Yeah, I really like this intro because a lot from these era are kind of psychedelic and goofy, but this one was really cool.
Really cool. The music was good. A clip from the opening of Walt Disney World. Indeed, the Wonderful World of Disney logo is set on a background of Disney World logos. So interesting time.
Times have changed.
Short-lived TV version of the anthology show. Our first star is Johnny Carson, who is very somber, Michael. Very just unlike himself.
I wondered what was going on because he was very, very serious.
I guess he hadn't tied one on yet for the day. It's just he's sober, maybe.
Could be.
Says his star is shining brighter than ever. And then he starts to go into the thing. We get Minnie's Yoo-hoo montage of international children saying Mickey's name in their kind of Small World attire. I wondered if it was recycled from the Small World opening, Michael. It was just all their kind of international garb.
It was the kids in their international costumes was so silly. And of course, each one is saying like the Italian kid says Topolino, and they all say their different things. And then they get to Turkey, and Turkey can't speak, or something's wrong with Turkey. She can't. She breaks down. And I just wondered what was the casting call for this, and how that all happened.
Yeah, what is the deal? I love the kid that was like, "No, I can't."
It's like, no.
Oh, we have a quick snippet of Jacqueline Bisset wishing Mickey a happy birthday, which is kind of indicative. A lot of these are like, "Happy birthday, Mickey." That's it.
Mm-hmm.
But then, in one of the more bizarre segments of a lot of bizarre segments, we have Peter Sellers wearing an incredible brown shirt, maybe from Contemporary Man. I don't know. He's on the balcony of some hotel overlooking a beach with a Pink Panther stuffed animal lurking behind him. And he does this odd bit like, I'm 3 years older than Mickey. When I was born, Mickey had been... No. Who was born first? And during this whole time, there's like a Wurlitzer moodily playing "The Whole World Wants to Wish You Happy Birthday, Mickey Mouse" in the background, which is the song they wrote for this anniversary. What did you think about this, Michael?
I can never tell with Peter Sellers if he's doing a bit or if he's just deranged. You can never tell.
Yeah, hard to say. And now after the Get Back, and more evidence for that.
That's true. A little more insight into that. Yeah, this was really, really strange. I love that they lead with it. It was almost like they did a retake, because he kind of does it once. They're panning in, and then they kind of cut back to the establishing and start panning in again. So I wonder if they did a retake and he was just doing the bit. But I don't know if he knew it was a bit. It's so weird.
It's hard to say, but the thing that really cracked me up is in between these cuts, there are quick cuts of Helen Hayes saying "Happy Birthday, Mickey," which that just made me die laughing, because it's like, Helen Hayes, "Happy Birthday, Mickey," back to Peter Sellers.
Yes.
And then they go to Cantinflas, Michael.
I couldn't believe it. I died.
Before they get back to Peter Sellers again.
I love this, the cut, like the brief, tiny cutaways from Peter Sellers and then back to Peter Sellers.
It's going on too long. We've got like 500 of these well wishes, so let's go.
Drop in Cantinflas.
Then we go to new stars at the time, Chewbacca and R2-D2 seated at a table with a cake, and Chewie has a bib and R2-D2 has a party hat coming out of him and is beeping "Happy Birthday." I just imagine, now after watching the ILM thing, it's like, okay guys, today we gotta do a Mickey happy birthday. Let's get Chewbacca.
I just wish they'd had him there too. Happy birthday, Mickey.
Maybe you should just be seated and have a cake. Chewbacca's eating the cake.
Chewie, don't get the cake in your fur, Chewie.
Oh, this is going very well. But it's about to go even better, because we get more Dean Jones. We cut to Mickey's story, narrated by a jean-jacketed and mustached Dean Jones, Michael. Another chance for more Dean Jones voiceover.
I was so excited when mustached Dean Jones showed up. That's a rare variant of Dean Jones.
Yeah, you don't see it much. The Canadian tuxedo mustache, it's like the Gordon Lightfoot Dean Jones.
It is. And he could have, he could have sung some Gordon too.
Absolutely. He starts to tell the story about the train ride and all that. He said Mickey was named after a tame mouse in the Kansas City studio. I'd never heard that one.
Yeah. Walt always told the story about how there were mice in the office and he'd feed them and yada, yada, yada,
Well, there you go. Who knows what truth is true? But we get Gene Kelly taking over, talking about Lucky Lindy and how Mickey used Lindy for playing crazy. I don't remember Gene Kelly from this period. I remember him before and after. He is so casual.
He is. He is just like casual grandpa.
I know. He's got the bucket hat and everything. He's
just
chilling.
out tooling around in his windbreaker. He's amazing. But second, fact that one thing I wanted to say that was kind of remarkable about this special is pretty historically on point compared to most offerings. Like he leads off talking about how Plain Crazy was the first one, which it was.
Right.
He doesn't go like right into Steamboat Willie. He mentions Galloping Gaucho, which nobody ever mentions. And I just thought that was kind of amazing. I was like, they're doing the real story. I was really impressed by that.
Yeah, I mean, actually, you're right. The history is really good, and they do a great job of picking things that were going on in the greater culture in the time and pointing to how Mickey did a spoof on it, like one to one. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It talks about, Douglas Fairbanks, like you said, and Gaucho and the Galloping Gaucho. And then Lord, Michael, we have more Edgar Bergen and Mortimer Snerd. I mean, how much more should we endure of this?
I could not believe it. I thought this window of time would be safe from that, but
it's so
apparently
painful.
not.
Why did this become a thing? Why did people like this?
It's like it was grandfathered into the 1970s, but
yes.
Yikes.
Edgar Bergen fittingly talks about Al Jolson, and of course we have to endure some of that, him and Blackface singing about Mammy, to get to the talkies and Steamboat Willie. Without sound, Mickey had no personality. If you think about it. That's what Mortimer Snerd said. But then we get Rich Little. Michael, tell us a little bit about your childhood memory of Rich Little.
My childhood memory of Rich Little, aside from his appearances on not necessarily the news on HBO.
Yes. That's a good. I forgot about that.
Was the tape, which I assume came from Radio Shack or the like, of wacky answering machine messages done by Rich Little.
That's right.
In the voice of various celebrities of yore, many of which we get sampled here on this self-same special.
That's true. He just didn't do the Richard Nixon.
He didn't do W.C. Fields or Richard Nixon.
The W.C. Fields, Rich Little, I can definitely say introduced me to W.C. Fields because I heard that on the tape and was very confused and had no idea what he was talking about. Yes. W.C. Fields here. Oh,
wait for the burp. I mean beep.
Yep. That's a good one. I wonder how many of those he sold. Clearly they were giving them away, literally. He does a Humphrey Bogart, Clark Gable, John Wayne, Bing Crosby, and a Fred McMurray, which is pretty amazing. I got to give him up for the Fred McMurray.
I had the same reaction. I was so put out when he started doing his like Stations of the Cross of impersonations of like, oh, we're just going around the circle here of the standbys. But then he ends with Fred McMurray, which you never see anybody do a Fred McMurray impersonation, but it was really good.
It was really good. It was spot on. Oh, we get Mickey doing Charlie Chaplin. Watch some of Gold Rush and Mickey's the Klondike Kid. We have Gary Cooper and the Virginian and Mickey's the Cactus Kid with some terrifying Peg Leg Pete in that. Yikes.
I know. Lots of like there's a shot where there's like a shootout and it's just like strobe lit almost. It's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But I really enjoyed these, like you mentioned with Galloping Gaucho too, showing the movie that they were riffing on and then showing like their version of it. And
it's really interesting.
It was clearly them referencing like people would have known like, oh, they're goofing on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, now we have a scene with Jimmy Durante and Mickey, which I had never seen. Kind of bizarre. It's from MGM's Hollywood Party in 1933, and just a little bit offensive in that, but a very cool effect, I would at least say.
Yeah, good effect. Good effect. And Mickey at his scampiest.
Scampiest, but a little problematic at a certain point. But yeah, I'd never seen that. Have you seen MGM's Hollywood Party, Michael?
I've seen that clip, but I don't think I've seen the movie. I don't think.
Okay, well, we get a quick well wish from Ruth Buzzy, Joanne Worley, and Ronnie Shell, all Medfield recent people we have talked about.
I thought that was very timely.
And they toast Mickey with toast. Clever. Then we're off to another segment hosted by Jack Albertson, Grandpa from Willy Wonka, who I didn't immediately recognize because he was so dapper. But then I heard that voice and I was like, who is this? Who is this?
Yeah.
He profiles the top stars of the era in the early 30s, puts Mickey right up with them, and tells of the initial Mickey Mouse clubs that would sing Minnie's Yoo-Hoo as their club song. And then we have Elton John singing it. This is so weird. Elton without glasses. It's like the Justin Timberlake Elton John.
Yeah, it's baby Elton John.
Yeah.
It is. It's so funny to see him in this period pop up in something like this. And he's good.
Oh, he's great.
He's great.
He is so great. He goes into a whole segment about how Mickey could play anything musically. We get some Mickey playing instruments in all of his cartoons. Mickey is a conductor. That goes back a long time ago. That was such a thing and is Mickey the conductor.
Mm-hmm. Never thought about that.
Elton talks about Mickey Mouse music and Mickey Mouse orchestras. I need to know more about that. And Elton hands it off to Dick Clark, who shows us Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Mickey in turn dancing with big old feet. Man, I have a lot of Mickey shorts I need to catch up on, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I had the same thought. I said, there are many of these that I have not seen or have not seen in eons. I mean, I've got the DVDs from the Disney Treasures, so I've got them. So I just need to watch because you look back at those black and white ones and they are strange.
They get really weird, man. Really weird.
Yeah. There's that one where Mickey's got the big feet, like enormous feet, and is dancing with Minnie. He's like stepping on her feet and her legs, and she winds up having these legs that are like stretched way, way out. So she like ties one in a knot and then cuts off the slack and has like a giant knee. It's really weird.
It's weird. It's definitely weird. But yeah, we see more dancing with Mickey and Minnie. And then we get Bruce Jenner, Michael.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Jenner cameo on the beach talking about Mickey as an athlete. So they're kind of starting to go into this whole Mickey as in different areas. About the 1932 LA Olympics. And sure enough, Mickey has the Barnyard Olympics. It's really in-depth history.
It really is. I was impressed. I was like, man, somebody knew what they were doing on this one.
Yeah. We get Joe Namath, who talks about the galloping ghost and Mickey playing football and touchdown Mickey. We have some LA Dodger who I didn't recognize, in part because of the resolution. Yeah, wishing Mickey a happy 50th. And then there's OJ, and their pictures morphed to form a hidden Mickey.
We need to talk briefly about the video production of this episode. Which it's like the proto video toaster. Yeah. I don't know what equipment they were using at the time, but their like little generated graphics and everything are really special in a very funny way.
Yes, it is very proto video toaster. Michael, did you know Dana Carvey's brother, inventor of the video toaster?
I did not know that.
I didn't either until recently.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, next up is Hans Conried, who says he remembers Mickey as an excellent theater actor. We get more clips of Mickey in an acting context, some more bizarre shorts I've never seen. I thought I'd seen them all, but the one with the gorilla, Michael.
That's the gorilla.
That!
I laughed so hard at that.
I had never seen that.
I laughed so hard.
It's the gorilla.
It's the gorilla. And then like that, there's a really great shot of, it's like it through a keyhole
Yeah.
of Minnie tied up in a chair with like lightning going on like behind her. It looks like German film.
It's interesting. Yeah, that's the other thing is a lot of that stuff is very departure stylistically. Some real interesting shots and stuff that they're trying out in these early days.
Yeah, that gorilla.
That was hilarious.
It made me want to go pull that out immediately and watch it.
Yeah. We get the moose hunt. I guess Mickey does a good job acting in this when Pluto is shot, which is another crazy thing. And then Carol Burnett shows up and grabs her mouse ears, Michael.
Uh-huh. Love that gag. Love it.
Not only that, we get our first shot of Gary Owens in a ruffled tux with mouse ears talking with Peter Strauss. Now, this was some kind of event. I need to find out what this was.
Yeah.
It's some kind of gala with Gary Owens interviewing people. What was this?
I don't know. And they're at like 30 Rock, aren't they?
It looks like 30 Rock. That's funny because that's what I thought.
So I don't know what this is, but at first I was like, well, what are they doing? And then as we go through the episode, we see other celebrities in this location with like party hats. So it's clearly an event. Maybe there was something at Radio City. I don't know.
Interesting.
But clearly something going on.
But Gary Owens just looks just great.
Not enough Gary Owens in this.
Not
Could
enough.
have used more Gary Owens.
Do get Shirley Jones, though. She discusses Hollywood's love of Mickey with a special Academy Award that Walt received. And then we have old OJ talking about how Mickey became a salesman. Now, this is disturbing, not because it's OJ as we know him now, because it's OJ as he always was, just weird. OJ was always weird.
Yeah, so weird.
Early on, he was like, "Happy birthday, Mickey. I love you." It's just weird.
Just overly affable, over familiar OJ.
Yes, that's exactly it. He talks about Mickey helped so many people. Talk about Mickey watches, and OJ says Mickey created 10,000 jobs for folks in the Depression. So I guess
At Ingersoll watches.
Well, then Michael, we get a short called The Collector, which feels like something from early 80s pre-Eisner Disney Studio to me. This feels like one of those shorts. A man wakes up in a bedroom surrounded by all kinds of Mickey ephemera. We get a quick cut of a small Mickey doll watching him behind the curtain. He eats Mickey cereal. We just do quick cuts through all this merchandise, which is really incredible.
Yeah, really cool merch.
I mean, it's like
all antique stuff.
Super antique, super good condition. Takes a shower, washes off with all manner of Disney toiletries, get dressed with Mickey clothes, keep having this stop motion Mickey following him around. Man leaves his house and all these Mickey bikes and wagons follow him down as he gets in the car with Mickey stuff. Keeps making this weird face. He takes off in the car with Mickey ears. It says more to come. Michael, what were you thinking at this point?
Well, I had seen this. I think they showed this on Disney Channel.
I think so too. I've definitely seen this.
And I know they used that clip of him driving off with the Volkswagen with the Mickey ears. They used that in early like bumpers for Disney Channel. Because I know I'd seen that shot before.
There's that other thing I think they show in the 60th anniversary with like just the toys, remember? And it's not the people and it's stop motion.
So this guy, the guy who did this, his name is Mike Jitlove. This guy's bananas. He did another thing called The Wizard of Speed and Time, which is featured in, we're going to have to talk about this at some point, but there's Wonderful World of Disney from around the time that the Black Hole comes out. It's kind of to promote the Black Hole, but it's called Major Effects. And it's about a person called Major Effects, like a fake superhero.
Yeah.
And so there's a guy it's got Joseph Bottoms, who's in Black Hole, going around the Disney studio and looking at different special effects, like from the past and like a preview what's going on in Black Hole and all this stuff. As part of that, they show this Wizard of Speed and Time thing, which is a short film in this weird stop motion style about this guy who like runs really fast. It's just about him running around really fast. Just like running around LA really fast. It is hilarious. It is insane. And I love it.
Huh.
But it too, I had seen it, I don't know, within the last several years. And it came back to me. It just came rushing back to me because I know I'd seen it on Disney Channel as a kid. It was just one of those weird things they would put in to programming just to fill out the schedule, I guess.
So bizarre.
But he also did the bumper / promo for Disney Channel. You know, the thing with the Mickey satellite?
Oh,
the
yeah.
ears unfold. It's like a stop motion satellite.
Wow.
The ears unfold. He did that too.
Wow.
So this guy is something else.
Yeah. Get him on
Gotta
the
get him on
pod.
the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The funniest thing to me out of all this was they cut to Kermit the Frog, who says,
Yes.
"What was that?" And just sits there for a second staring at the camera. I laughed so hard when that happened. And he was like, anyway, just it's true Jim Henson genius there.
I love, it made me wonder if that was just Jim Henson ad-libbing or what.
That's
but
what
that
I wondered too.
Killed me.
It was so funny.
What was that?
Kermit talks about the jobs Mickey got for animal actors. Mickey Mouse job creator. O.J. Simpson and Kermit the Frog say so.
Yep.
Files of Pluto, Goofy, and of course Donald. Kenny Rogers is on to talk about the Depression and the Dust Bowl and shows Mickey in color at the band concert. Now, I felt that was a bit of a stretch.
It was a stretch. But Mickey cured the Dust Bowl with a color cartoon.
Mickey, more than any other mouse, helped end the Depression. Which, I mean, maybe that's true. I don't know.
Probably true.
Next, we have Elliot Gould in polo garb and begins to profile Walt on a fake donkey. Why?
I was delighted to see Elliot Gould show up just in general.
Of course.
But then getting on a fake donkey. It's like, of course, because we've got a fake donkey sitting around. So why not get that out there?
We get Ed Asner to drop by, and then, oh man, we get Mickey Rooney wishing a happy birthday from one Mickey to another. And man, unhinged, Michael.
Yeah, this is straight up Lampy Mickey Rooney.
Lampy method acting, I guess.
Yes.
He just seems like he saw a dragon, if you know what I'm saying. Thankfully, LeVar Burton shows up. Michael, LeVar.
Delighted to see LeVar.
Delighted. I want more LeVar in Disney. I mean, there has been LeVar in Disney. LeVar, one of the first two celebrities I met on Skyway. I met LeVar. I helped him off. Yes. And LeVar would do the Candlelight when I was there as well, which I hate I didn't go see that.
That would have been great.
LeVar is just so comforting, especially
directed
after
the Disney Channel original movie Smart House.
Yeah, yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah, there needs to be more LeVar Disney crossover.
So great. He lowers my blood pressure whenever I see him. He helps.
Totally.
He talks a little bit about Mickey evolving. We get some Through the Mirror, which that was like the number one Mickey cartoon of our youth that would show all the time by a long shot. You get a little Jonathan Winters. Man, I don't get Jonathan Winters.
I don't either.
I don't at all.
I saw this bit and I was like, I know it will be controversial, but I really don't get it. at all.
Yeah, it goes especially to the Disney World grand opening.
Oh, I was thinking that. I said at some point we're gonna get to that and discuss that in one of our shows, and I will have bad things to say about Jonathan Winters on that day. It is just grating.
It is grating. That's a good word for it. Absolutely. Oh man. Luckily we get LeVar back. He talks a little Brave Little Tailor, and they show a lot of that. So
yeah,
it's getting extended here.
It's like they're getting tired.
Yeah.
Like just show. They're getting tired with all the edits. They're like, just show the Brave Little Tailor.
But yeah, we're not done with the edits at all. We get Jodie Foster, who is cool, in front of an amazing wall. It looks like the Bill Justice wall at Walt Disney Story, but the characters have a kind of drop shadow on them. Any idea where this was, Michael?
Dimensional. I don't know where this was, but I have seen those cutouts in an office at Disney, in a Disney office that's actually not on the studio lot. It's part of the D23 offices. And I don't know where this was originally.
So there were actual cutouts then.
Yeah, they're like dimensional, like plywood or something that are painted and attached to the wall. Yeah, they look, I mean, total Bill Justice vibe. They're really great.
Yeah. She introduces, this is okay. Here's where a weird kind of Mickey narrative starts to come in. Because it's like starts to talk about the films and gets away from Mickey. It's like, they talk about Snow White. What does that have to do with Mickey and Pinocchio?
Yeah.
It's like Mickey had to take a back seat while these amazing things happened. Why is this part of the special?
I found this fascinating, where they basically talked about like the decline of Mickey in terms of popularity, which never gets really discussed in an official special. But it's like other stuff happened and they were more popular, and Mickey just kind of faded away.
Right.
It's so weird.
What an interesting thing for his 50th birthday to discuss that. Should have had Ward on to talk about him not being tall enough.
Yeah. And we know why. It's because he was just too tall.
Pull up the Ward footage. We get Sterling Holloway in an amazing shirt. It's like black with neon circles talking. I love against Sterling. And then we get Bob Hope doing a bit. Your hairline hasn't receded one bit. Just a joyless Bob Hope doing his comedy.
The same jokes I've been telling for 50 years.
Yeah. We get Roger Miller in a bow tie. He always looks different than I think he would.
Yeah,
like more fluffy than I would think he would be.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
He talks a little Fantasia, which, Roger Miller talking about Fantasia. Come on.
I could have watched a whole special of that.
Yeah. It's beautiful. These artists at Disney doing amazing things. And then, Michael, we get Haddon Avenue School, and Miss Soltes presents a mini Mickey cartoon. Now, I looked up the Haddon Avenue School. Looks like it's in Pacoima, California.
Of course it is.
Yeah, I'm just going to have to play this song.
Shine your shoes, slick your hair, come along with me.
It's Mickey Mouse's birthday party, that's the place to be.
Spread the news everywhere, listen to that band. It's Mickey Mouse's birthday party, let's give him a hand.
And imagine, you can imagine the most strange montage of kids' drawings. Michael, did you produce this?
Man, I said this has a vibe that I feel down deep in my soul. This is just like my spirit. I don't know what, separated at birth.
Yes,
clipping.
I mean, incredible. And what is this choice to do without any explanation? Now, of all the people who talk, there's nothing they're saying. And now, here's
they
this.
don't explain what it is or why.
It's just in and out. Very odd.
Yeah.
We get more people, Goldie Hawn, Dick Van Patten, Gary Owens, more from this event. We get Anne Murray, who I always find affable, telling Minnie's story. What about Minnie?
Minnie Moose. Minnie Moose.
Charo wearing an amazing jumpsuit in front of 3 mirrors. This shot, I wonder how long that took to set up.
Right.
Who doing pre-production for the Universe of Energy? What's going on here?
And Chara's into it. She is a big Minnie Mouse fan.
She is stoked. We get some Roy Rogers and Dale Evans recreating a Mickey and Minnie smooching. Dale
this is a pretty funny bit.
Yeah. Dale introduces some of Mickey's courtship of Minnie. They're doing great. The amount of these odd Mickey shorts I haven't seen. There's one with Minnie yelling at Mickey in Spanish. What's up with these?
I know. I hadn't seen that one either.
So weird. Oh, Ava Gabor shows up with a rose. Johnny Carson says that Mickey, he tells him not to get divorced. The alimony and cheese will kill you. Great jokes. And then they show this short, Michael, Mickey's Nightmare, where Mickey dreams he's getting married to Minnie and then has 1 million babies and they torture him. Just absolutely disturbing stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
They're like, Mickey did get married once. And so it's oh, this is nice. And then this happened. And it's just torture and agony.
Weird view on marriage that tracks with a lot of the Disney animators from this period. Oh,
yeah, true.
Jonathan Winters is on to talk about how Mickey was disappointed Walt had moved on to feature films. I mean, this is such an odd track for this to take, I think.
It turns into grim.
Yes. And evidently in Mickey's short, The Simpler Things, that Mickey and Minnie found out they wouldn't be continuing their film careers and shows them crying.
I love that they're Mickey and Minnie's relationship was degrading due to the stress of them being in fewer movies.
Yeah.
And they show from I don't know what short it is that she's making that cake for him and he comes around and she's mad at him and she decks him with the cake. They're usually shorts would end with a kiss, but not anymore. And it's him getting a cake in the face and wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, why is this?
They were down to only 1 short a year and the stress was showing.
I don't get it.
And then they found out. That
it wasn't continuing.
It was over, and then they cried.
But Whirly, Shell, and Buzzy say not to worry, because Walt had bigger plans for them in store in 1955, but they don't remember what happened. Not to worry, we get a cut to R2-D2, an orange script that says, I know, ! And cut. We come back and R2-D2 is saying that television had arrived and we jump into the Mickey Mouse Club. Get some Dodd with the video toaster.
Mm-hmm. Oh man, the video toaster effect here is amazing.
Very interesting choice. Mouseketeers are introducing themselves. Sally Field comes out of her door saying she wanted to be in Mickey Mouse Club so badly. She would have been great.
She would have been fantastic. I love her. She was so great to see her here. I was put her in Mickey Mouse Club retroactively.
Do a wacky thing where she introduces herself and does a little dance. Then we have Annette come through her door. She said that Mickey Mouse Club caused a resurgence of mouse mania. And then we cut to another one of these shorts, Michael, called The Rat Race with the collector in his office. Some of these collectibles are really, really amazing.
Yeah, these had to have been just from Dave Smith's private stash of stuff.
This calculator, typewriter, Darby O'Gill poster, all kinds of stuff.
I love the Darby O'Gill poster.
Yeah.
That seemed random, but I'm down for it.
A money bin.
Oh, that money bin was nice.
The books, Michael, the books. Did you catch one of those Mickey books with his face on it that we had?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Stop motion Mickey gets even more pronounced when you get it to be continued yet again. The Mouseketeers sing us out the Mickey Mouse Club album Modern. We cut to the 70s Mickey Mouse Club in some colorful void. That Mouse Club, which, until I'm proven wrong, never really existed outside of the special.
Yeah. It was all just a ruse. Yeah.
And then we cut to Willie Nelson and his band in some weird place in Carborough, North Carolina, it seems, singing the alma mater. I mean, they're having a good time.
They have been having a good time and are continuing to have a good time. It is in some back room of Carborough. And Jan Michael Vincent is there.
Yes.
For some reason.
Was this get together? Because Willie, I don't remember Willie doing anything for Disney. I don't know. What?
No. He's got his mouse ears on, though.
We get Henry Winkler with a gentle hello. That's another nice breath of fresh air. Says that when he got to Hollywood, the first thing he did was go to Disneyland with his family. How wholesome is Henry Winkler?
He's so wholesome.
He really is.
He's delightful.
He is. We get Cheryl Land, and she says Drizzly Land instead of Disneyland. And then we get Richard Carpenter and Karen, and they go into We've Only Just Begun. Bless them.
Yeah, bless them. Totally. So good to see him. Well, their hook is they got started at Disneyland.
That's true.
That's where they got their big start.
Among many.
So good to see him. Always good to hear Karen.
Yes, absolutely. Karen introduces Disneyland and Mickey's greatest assignment, meeting his public face to face. We have a montage of Mickey in the parks and Mickey on the Matterhorn. Oh no. Then we get a sudden cut to a crying picture of Mickey and Billy Graham in the darkness telling of Walt dying with some reverb and then talking about Walt Disney World. What a strange decision, Michael.
The vocal effect they have on Billy Graham as he emerges from the void.
Yes, why?
To speak about Walt's death. Mickey was separated from his creator. Like, why? Who do we go to for this? I know. We'll get Billy Graham. And Billy Graham is like, sure.
I mean, yeah.
I'll do that.
He seemed really game to go there.
But he brought like the fire and brimstone.
He did willingly. Yes.
Yeah.
Doc Severinsen saves us. This is the Doc Severinsen I needed in Sandy at Disneyland. He's just very pleasant.
Just hanging out, just loose and free.
Shows some Disney World footage, which is very nice. And then in 78, in front of the Chinese Theater, Mickey became the first animated character to get his star on the Walk of Fame, which I can't believe.
Yeah, it's surprising.
It's that late. Barbara Wawa, check. Jimmy Stewart does his thing. I feel like I'm watching a Campbell's soup commercial in the 80s.
And he was just pouring on the Jimmy Stewart.
Yeah, so it's just pleasant for my children, love Mickey. Yeah, doing his thing. Phyllis Diller, Raquel Welch, Betty Davis, looking very spicy. Gregory Peck gives a very Gregory Peck salute to wearing a Gregory Peck button.
I wondered what the Gregory Peck button was for.
Has he ran for some office? I would assume.
Maybe. I want one, though.
I want to vote for him.
I would vote for him for anything. Absolutely. Thank you, Mickey.
We get Mel Brooks and Anne Bancroft by a pool blowing out candles of a cheese, not a cake.
A giant wheel of cheese.
Yeah.
That I love. They're committed to the gag. They're having fun.
They are having a blast. Also having a blast is Burt Reynolds.
Oh, yeah.
Who's wearing your astronaut jacket that you used to have when you were growing up, except it has the screaming chicken, Norm Inouye's Trans Am chicken. But it's like a little astronaut outfit with the Trans Am logo on it.
It is my astronaut jacket. It is. I didn't think about that. Yeah, he is enjoying himself.
He's having a great time. Great time. And then we get back into the quick cuts. Charo singing Happy Birthday, Willie, Doc, getting very 70s, going kind of all over the place again. Now we have that Main Street Electrical Parade music again, Michael, and we have a psychiatrist's office and a segment called Mouse Mania by this guy. Michael, this is going to have to be seen to be understood. I mean, how could you even explain what this is?
Yeah, this again, our Patreon live stream this month is just going to be off the chain because there's so much to be seen. You can't explain this. There's just no way in words to explain this.
I started to write it down. I mean, I don't even know what it involves heavily stop motion. It's very surreal.
There's like effects animation.
Yeah, it's like opening a wormhole in a psychiatrist's office with a bunch of Mickey toys.
It's like the Stargate from 2001 with Mickey toys pouring out of it.
Some of the like psychiatrist with his like head expanding, like that stuff was really disturbing to me.
Yeah. It was
very dark and disturbing. Very weird. Very weird, Michael. This is why would you put this in what does this have to do with Mickey?
I don't know. It had to be a considerable investment.
That seemed like that probably took forever to do.
Yes.
Like so many shots
of just stop motion,
escalating.
A billion toys, all stop motion, and like with the camera panning as it's like stuff we tried to do with our like 8mm film camera when we were kids, but only on an insane scale.
Oh, you're gonna have to tune into our live stream, join our Patreon, see it for yourself. Well, then we get Shields and Yarnell, and they do a weird thing, go figure, where she imitates like a mouse or a dog. I don't get it. I don't get it
at all.
Have a series of snapshots with Mickey and dignitaries, and there's Gerald Ford saluting Mickey in person. Oh, Gerald Ford.
The fact that first it was Gerald Ford at all was funny, but then the fact that he's there with Mickey is even more funny.
He's there with Mickey. Yep.
Let me just shake your hand.
Oh, we get Karen Carpenter. She starts to sing Close to You, but spelling out Mickey's name, which is sweet. We get Christopher Lee and Ken Berry at this Gary Owens thing. I want to go.
I want to go to any party that is like hosted by Gary Owens in a tuxedo, has Christopher Lee and Ken Berry there.
Please. Oh, and then we get this wonderful Whole World Wants to Wish You Happy Birthday Mickey Mouse song by Marty Cooper. Great song. Glad that it got brought back 10 years later.
Mm-hmm. Gotta thank you, Mickey.
That's a nice feeling tune. That. And there's a final helicopter shot of the cast in front of Cinderella Castle with a swan boat, which I thought was a neat little Easter egg there. Then we get Walt saying it was all started by a mouse with the faux Walt signature. One of the first instances of this I can remember. I know they used it at the World's Fair, but pretty early.
I thought the same thing. I thought I think of that as the Eisner era corporate Walt signature, but it was funny to see it that early.
Yeah. So happy birthday, Mickey. Yikes.
Happy birthday, Mickey Mouse. Everybody wants to toast you with a song. Happy birthday, Mickey. The whole world wants to wish you happy birthday, Mickey Mouse. Listen while your friends all join and sing along. The whole world wants to wish you happy birthday, Mickey Mouse. Everybody wants to
Well, that is a lot of ways to celebrate 50, Michael. What do you think as we sit here on our torch of the Statue of Liberty with its endless horizon out in front of it?
Well, 50 years. 50 years. Sometimes it feels like 50 years. 50 episodes. 50 episodes, and may our Progress City adventure go on for 50 more. And then some.
That's right. And, I see no end in sight except for, the danger of leisure, of course.
Well, there's always leisure. Leisure is a problem now that you mention it.
It is the real threat to our enterprise. But before we, truly depart, I want to talk a little bit about some favorite moments that we had during our time here, because I'd like to point. So if you're a new listener and you don't have time to go through 50 episodes, maybe we can shine a couple of our favorites your way, and we can talk a little bit about that.
That sounds good. Well, what are you thinking? Where would you start?
One of my favorites is, and I should have looked at this before we started, I think it's episode 5. It was our second episode back. The snow episode. I really like that one. We get to talk about the Switzerland pavilion that never got built at Epcot. Get to do some music from the Snow Palace and talk about that, the Enchanted Snow Palace. That one I thought was a great episode, and I really love snow, so...
I know, we went with a theme we really liked right off the bat. I'll agree with that one. That's a good one. And, you mentioned the music. It has music that, unless you attended that one D23 event where you had recorded this music, it's something that hasn't been heard since it was created 50 years ago or so. So it's a fun little look at what never happened. And also the Switzerland Pavilion. That was good.
Right.
I'm going to give a plug for, it's hard to pick an interview because I've enjoyed all the ones that we've done, and we get to talk with people who are not only household names in the Disney community, people like Tom Morris or Eddie Sato, but we get to talk to people who maybe everybody doesn't know yet, and introduce them to people. And we've had some great interviews. I think of Bob Holland and his muck wave.
Yeah. Give it up for the muck wave.
I think of Scott Gerard.
Yeah.
Also a great interview. So we've just been really, really super fortunate that people have been willing to talk to us and have been super generous in their time, because, a lot of podcasts do shorter interviews, which is great because that there's always room for that. But we go for the long burn.
Right.
And
we think about we are thinking as historians more than entertainers in that regard. And a lot of people like us would like to hear the whole story, but also it's important to get all these stories down. And
absolutely,
you have really pushed for that, and it's been very good. And I'm glad we do. And, you feel like if you sit down with somebody for 4 hours, you have a little bit of a rapport with them. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Other episodes, I would say, if you're starting out, all the episodes we did for Disney World's 50th, I had a lot of fun with.
That was fun. That was fun to do. And, again, you learn stuff when you're doing these things, but it was fun. We kind of agreed to put it in the form we did, and it just changed my perspective a lot on what I thought I knew by the time we were done with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Not only the land by land episodes, but the 4 episodes of the 50th itself, going sort of year by year. All sorts of little episodes and weird little cul-de-sacs of history that, when you look at it in a long view like that, you see these recurring themes, these things that come up over and over again. And
That's right.
It's fun to look at.
Yeah, I mean, and then you see trends. You see stuff that you didn't. You know, maybe there is precedent for X, Y, and Z. When you look further at it, but
Yeah, something
another.
they talked about years and years ago, and it never happened, but then it happened. Like a lot of the sort of celebration stuff, things like that.
Right. One more plug for me would be our little chef. We got to bring him back.
Yes, that's
My
right.
son, he made it into the wilderness episode, cooking cornbread, and we did our Polynesian feast for one of our Adventureland episodes. I love those Adventureland episodes too.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got to get the little chef back.
get him back in
He
the
was
kitchen.
good. Yeah, we got to do another cooking thing.
He's a natural. Let's face it. Probably more than either of us. He's a natural podcaster.
Oh, I mean, yeah, he is. He's got that gift for sure. He will, outpace us all for sure.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Well, those are good recs. I think those are good places to start for anybody who's interested in dipping their toe in the history well.
Yes, and we can't go any further. We've gone far enough without thanking everybody for listening. I mean, gosh, if nobody listened, it would be a lot less fun.
Yes.
And the tree in the forest and all that. So thank you all so much for listening and all your feedback through all these years, even way back when we first did it.
Yeah,
Gave
that's
us impetus
right.
to keep going and keep doing it someday. And it's been great just talking with everybody and digging into it, and the people who have helped us out with resources. There's all kinds of people.
Oh, absolutely. People who've sent us stuff, photos and videos and info and leads on people to talk to and ideas for episodes. And as you said, even during the drought of 10 years, people who kept on us, year after year to bring it back and didn't forget about it. And, when we started back up, published that first episode back, episode 4, there were people who still had us in their podcast feeds from decade before. And that was great.
Respect.
So they woke up to a little surprise that morning. So that was really fun to see. So yes, thank you to everybody. We really appreciate it.
We do. Well, what lies ahead? We looking off here. I've got my little cigar smoldering here. What do you see out there?
Well, I foresee this adventure will go on for a long, long time, but perhaps fittingly, considering mentioning the American adventure, I think it's about time for us to talk Epcot.
I know we've hinted at it this year. There's been some clouds, pre-Epcot clouds, but
right,
yeah, we've kind of
dabbled.
held back on Epcot a lot.
I know. I don't know why. Maybe it's just too obvious or something. I don't know. But of course, by the time this show is out, we will have just celebrated the 40th anniversary of Epcot Center, which is truly jarring and shocking to me personally that it's been 40 years.
Truly.
But yeah, we're going to turn our gaze toward Epcot and do a little exploration of some of its themes. We do things a little different here around Progress City. And if you've noticed the way we podcast, we don't do we don't stick to one subject, like do one podcast per one ride or something. We get a theme and do sort of things around a theme. So I think it would probably be a good idea with Epcot to look to the parking lot, since that's where you begin your Epcot journey.
That's right. It's a large space. Imagine. We could talk, a long time about how it used to wrap around the park in the early renderings,
right before the woodpeckers got in the way.
Yeah, what was that about? Yeah.
So the parking lot divided into things like Imagine and Harvest and topics like that. So maybe instead of doing a 3 hours on World of Motion. We'll do various transportation themed things. You never know what we're going to pull up.
It's going to be an omnibus. That's what we always do.
Absolutely.
Except for those 2 episodes we did a deep dive, which is not
Right.
going to be normal. Yeah.
Except for the Great Train Robber, the Great Locomotive Chase, the Great Train Robbery. Good grief. Great Locomotive Chase.
See?
Absolutely.
We've already left it behind. The train has left the station. Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah.
I think that's a
Epcot,
great
man.
idea. I love that parking lot. And I love the, I'm just ready to pay my parking pass and get in there. I can see the purple and yellow.
That was
Just put 'em
always so
together.
exciting. That was always so exciting. I'd say my first Epcot memory, of course, I was just 5, so it's all very vague. But I think the night we arrived on, well, we didn't stay on property that first time we went, but the night we arrived in Florida, I'm pretty sure we took a drive through property. And going around there on Epcot Center Boulevard, the trees hadn't grown in yet, so you could very clearly see Spaceship Earth from the road. You could see all the pavilions from the road. And I just remember seeing all the pavilions, and I remember thinking that the land was going to be the ride with the dinosaurs in it, because I'd seen the art with the dinosaurs, so I thought it looked like a volcano. So it was going to be the ones with the dinosaurs and the volcano. So that's my first Epcot impression of memory.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in the 80s. I remember a pretty young memory myself of driving on Epcot Center Drive, and those pavilions, like you said, the trees are more in now. You can still see them, but it was like the anti-Magic Kingdom where everything was so hidden.
Yeah.
At Epcot, you could just see all those pavilions and be like, oh man, and they looked huge and they were really close. It was exciting. Different different kinds of excitement.
Dramatic lighting schemes on everything.
Oh, yeah. That's the best.
I'm excited just talking about it.
Me too. I can't wait to get there. But before we sign off tonight, it's the time to check in with our Patreon. See if anybody's signed up for that.
Well, we would like to welcome Ken to the Patreon. Thanks for joining us, Ken. And again, since it's our 50th episode, thanks to everybody who supported the Patreon and who helps make this show happen in ways you wouldn't believe. Ken, of course, signing up for the Patreon will join everybody else in getting early access to episodes. You get a fun little packet of Progress City swag. And at the silver level, you will join us for the monthly live stream, which is a good old time where everybody gathers. We look at some old photos, watch some old videos, have a fun chat about whatever we've been talking about that month, and then just have a little chat room there with all our regulars. That is a load of fun.
That's great. It's like it's kind of like Cheers.
It is.
It's see, everybody knows your name. You're always glad they came. What do you think about that? And it's great. So if you have not seen a live stream, come join us. It's like a little dive bar of Disney folk, and
absolutely,
it's jolly time.
Jolly time every month. And did I mention it's all tax deductible, folks? So join us at patreon.com/Progress City USA, and we thank you.
We do. If we were a little bit scaled up, Michael, we could give everybody a little, golden cosmopolitan hotel model. That'd be nice. Someday we'll enter that world.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we do thank you. You all help keep this podcast running with your listens and your donations and your comments. So why don't you give us a comment? You can email us at podcast@progresscityusa.com or tweet us. Michael's on Twitter at ProgressCityUSA. I'm on Twitter at Jeff G. Crawford. And we are, we love to chat with you about what you've heard, ideas you may have. And, we don't do this every time, but you should rate and review us because,
it's our 50th, man.
It's our 50th. Give us a 5-star for our 50th.
There you go.
Come on.
There you go.
What's it going to do? It's going to take a minute of your time to give us a 5-star review. We really would appreciate it, though. It would help.
We will.
But yeah, that's going to be it for our 50th. As we walk down a abandoned Main Street, we remember Walt Disney's life and unfortunate death. And I can't leave it like Dean Jones did. We're going to see you all in the 21st century next month, as it begins October 1st, 1982. So we will see you all over in Epcot Center. Take the monorail, get your hands stamped, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. So long.
Right now, it's time to go. Remember,
everything you've seen here in our all-electric city is really possible today.
so if you know any cities looking for a new springtime of progress, tell them about Progress City. Thanks for joining us.
They call it progress, progress. Our time is at an end. We'll be seeing you again next time at Progress, progress. We'll meet at Progress City, USA. You've been listening to the Progress City Radio Hour, created by the folks at ProgressCityUSA.com. We're also on Facebook and Twitter at Progress City USA. If you want to contact us, please write podcast at ProgressCityUSA.com. The Progress City Radio Hour is recorded at Arbor Ridge Studios in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, on the web at arborridgestudios.com. The title theme was composed by Jeff Crawford, whose music can be found at jeffcrawfordmusic.com. Please join us again soon for another Progress City Radio Hour. They call it progress.